we go. Call the meeting to order of the Wilmington City Council. I'd like to welcome all those who are with us here this evening and all those who are watching us at home. Thank you for taking an interest in your government. At this time, I'd like to introduce Captain Joe Michael James of the Wilmington Fire Department for invocation. I'll ask if everyone remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance. Captain James.
Let's bow our heads in reverence. Thank you for the gift of this city and the people who serve it. Tonight we ask for the wisdom to listen well, decide fairly, and serve selfishly. Help our community preserve together, each doing our part for the greater good, working together to build something strong and everlasting. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do want to recognize that we have former Councilmember Neil Anderson with us here tonight. I know he's going to be speaking, doing public information. So, Neil, welcome. This time, I'd like to recognize Ms. Evelyn Adger, who's the chairperson of the Commission on African American History. We'll be doing a presentation of Wilmington's Commission on African American History on their annual report. Ms. Adger?
Good evening.
Good
Can y'all
evening.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. I'd like to invite my chair up with me if they'd like to. So this is the City of Wilmington's Commission on African American History, and I am Evelyn Adger, the chair of the City's Commission on African American History. The commission was established December the 5th, 1989, with 15 members. May 17, 2005, the council reduced the number of members from 15 to 9 as there was a problem recruiting prospective members and having a quorum. The commission was established because African Americans have played and continue to play a significant role in the historical development of the Wilmington community. The purpose of the commission is to develop and implement programs to recognize African American history. The duties and responsibilities of the commission are plan, develop, and implement special community projects to recognize and to increase awareness of the contribution of African Americans to Wilmington's history. Encourage and assist groups to develop their own projects on Wilmington's African American history. Recognize sites in the community that are significant to African American history, and make periodic report to City Council regarding the Commission's program and activities. Two of our signature programs are the Living Legends program for adults. The purpose of that is to recognize accomplished Wilmington leaders with a keen vision to helping people succeed in life and a dedication to improving our community. Our Youth Living Legends program is designed to honor students who are accomplishing extraordinary things in their lives and in our community. Work with schools, churches, community boys and girls club, and other organizations. We also partner with New Hanover County and our local NAACP to acknowledge, commemorate, and educate our community on the tragedy of 1898. We provide programs and activities throughout the city and in conjunction with the Cameron Arts Museum, Cape Fear Museum, the library, UNCW, and Juneteenth Committee. We have worked in collaboration with the city's historic preservation planners, planning development, and assist with updating a guide to Wilmington's African American Heritage brochure. We have collaborated with the State of North Carolina African American Heritage Commission in recognizing the North Carolina Civil Rights Trail along with other programs and naming of state highways, roads, and bridges. One of my favorites was naming the Meadowlark Lemon Bridge and meeting his wife and the new Globetrotters. We continue to work with City Council's Naming Facilities Committee. When requested and received, our commission reviews and makes suggestions and recommendations. We work in collaboration with community churches regarding Emancipation Proclamation. These are only a few of the events and programming that our commission has been tasked to do. And although we may be small in numbers, I am grateful that our commission believes in our city and what it has to offer, as we all serve as representatives of other boards and committees within the city, such as the Greater Downtown Steering Committee, the Juneteenth Committee, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Committee, and the City of Wilmington's Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the City of Wilmington's Commission on African American History, thank you for your continued support as we continue to fulfill our mission by acknowledging, educating our community, visitors, tourists, and people worldwide on the wonderful contributions of our African American legacies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you very much. Next item of business is our consent agenda, items 1 through 4. Are there any items that any council member would like to hear separately? If not, what are the wishes of this council? I have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Also, I failed to recognize that we have several council members-elect here in the audience with us this evening. We have J.C. Lau that I saw earlier. There she is right there. Shakima Clinton Quintana, who was just in there in front of us just now, and Cassie Santaguida, who's back there with her, I believe, her daughter. Good to see you. Next thing, part of our meeting is our public information segment. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. Our first speaker is Ms. Heather Henson, who lives here in Wilmington, about Darlington Avenue. Is Ms. Henson in? Come on in. Come forward.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Heather, as you said, and I'm here with some staff members from a preschool called Children's Courtyard of Wilmington North. And I have my 2-year-old with me as well as kind of like a face for why I'm here. I'm here to request that Darlington Avenue, which runs directly in front of our child care center, be officially designated as a school zone, and that we receive official notification when the shot spotter on our very own roof alerts the police of gunfire in our area. Oh, sorry, this is intimidating.
Don't be intimidated. You just take your time. Don't worry. Relax.
Well, I only have 3 minutes.
No, it's okay. Just
And that there may be an increased police presence in the area surrounding our center. As I'm sure you are aware, Darlington Avenue is the home to Market North, Alexandra Apartments, and there have been numerous incidents in recent months to where we've had to go on to lockdown due to gunfire, let alone over the years. While I wish to request the closure of that housing development, I know that's not truly an option. Thus, I'm here to appeal for the 3 things that I mentioned previously. As just October 21st, a perpetrator actually jumped our playground fence while trying to evade police. So it's become very serious. As community members, we rely on timely and accurate information to keep our families safe. When gunfire is detected in a neighborhood, people living and or working there often have no idea that anything has occurred unless they hear it themselves or see police activity after the fact. This lack of communication leaves community members uncertain and unprepared, especially businesses with small children who simply want to know when a safety concern has occurred nearby. Excuse me. By designating the stretch of road as an official school zone, this would allow for the common things of reduced speed limits, clear signage, but more than anything, proper enforcement. The most important being that, which coincides with the police presence. While we have completed a 30-day residential security check, when present, when the WPD is able, this would be standard and would be proper designation. Sorry, my thoughts are discombobulated. This is a small but critical step that can be implemented quickly and will have an immediate impact on the student safety. Our community expects that the areas around our schools are safe, predictable, and visibly marked. I respectfully ask the council to prioritize this designation so that families can send their small children to school without unnecessary fear. I'm asking the council to also consider re-implementing a system to notify us, as we used to get calls from the ShotSpotter in 2018. I know a lot has changed, but there could still be another solution available to us. Our goal is to not alarm our families, but to empower us with information we deserve. I respectfully urge you to explore these options and work with our police department to establish a notification process that supports both safety and transparency for all directly impacted. Whew, thank you for your time.
Ms. Henson, real quick,
Please.
have you had any conversation with WPD Wilmington Police Department?
We have had multiple conversations. I myself have been at the preschool since 2008. So we've experienced a lot in that amount of time. It's just we were told that there were certain reasons why we couldn't be notified with ShotSpotter, like tag information, but I know previously we were notified. So I feel like there's gotta be another option, even if it's just we picked up something and they call us. We don't need any additional information other than to bring the children inside, take safety.
Mr. Spears?
Yeah, look, this is, and I know we have, the chief is here, but I don't think you want to typically let people know that the shot spot is located at your location. It's kind of like a secret thing.
Whoops. I apologize. Well, it's a,
But no, trust me.
okay. Well, my apologies then.
No,
Sorry.
You're fine. Just
Sorry.
Mr. Rivenbark?
The school designation, that would go a long ways
Yes.
toward some different enforcement for school zones.
That's what we were advised would be the best first step, would be if we could get recognized as a school zone, because other things could possibly fall in line with that.
But that doesn't negate the need for more police.
Presence.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why I have multiple requests. So
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. Well, the school, I think the school designation, I don't know where that originates, but if it's here,
Okay.
somebody here will work on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. I am so sorry again for that information. Don't repeat it.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. Neil Anderson, former council member, who also lives here in Wilmington and wants to express appreciation for service of outgoing council members. Mr. Anderson?
Always moving to hear from passionate citizens. That's something I miss. It's an honor to be here before this council tonight. First time in these chambers, first time in a council meeting in 2 years. Almost grabbed my iPad rushing down here, but there was nothing interesting on it. So, and originally I'd planned just to come maybe roast Charlie, but the elections, there's more people to roast. So, and I wouldn't call it a roast. It's really just to show appreciation, like the mayor mentioned. I served with Clifford, I think 6 years, I believe. I was trying to figure all that out and know him to be a true man of God. I've seen him preach twice, once on Castle Street, once in his home church. Always just a straight shooter, open-minded to anything you brought to him, and would listen to all sides and the public before making a decision. Never made his mind up in advance. Just a genuine great guy. Luke, 2 years, I believe, the most prepared and read-in council member of any time while I served on council. He would really dig in and try to bring solutions. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes he got blamed for that. But we would be told by attorneys and city managers that there was nothing we could do about certain things. And he would go find something and bring it to us. By the way, I really enjoyed watching you guys hash out the homeless legislation. He brought a solution Everybody brought their ideas together, and over time, you hashed out something that I think was needed as a tool for the police department. But it was the way government works. He brought an idea. We didn't just sit up there and wait for staff to bring it to you. And I would urge the future council to do the same. Charlie, 12 years. I believe I sat beside him for 8 years and had some fun and along the way. The elder statesman of Wilmington Public Service. All of us know he can wear his passion on his sleeve, but I respect that. You always knew where Charlie stands on something. And he would, getting to know Charlie, the joy, I mean, just a box of chocolates. I mean, his passion for his hometown is palpable, unprecedented among any council member I worked with. And his compassion for his constituents, the same. He'd get a call to do something that a request that he knew he couldn't do, but he would try to nip around the edges to try to help this person, no matter how uphill it was. Finally, to all of you, the public just has no idea the commitment required to really do this job well. To the focus, the passion, dedication, you all three did it with class, and you will be missed. But be proud of what you accomplished while you were on council. It was a lot, way too much to list. I was wanting to go down to the timing because I've always wanted to be told by the mayor, you're going to need to wrap this up. So I'm kidding. I just always love bills. Anyway, I wish you all the best and wish the new council Godspeed as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Neil didn't state his address.
Next speaker is Mr. Steve Zender, 6303 Wellmont Drive, Wave Transit Dart Service.
Thank you for having me. Good evening. I'm Dr. Steve Zender. I'm a faculty member at UNCW, and some of you may know me in my public appearances as chair of the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee to the WMPO. But I want to stress to you today that I'm not speaking on behalf of either of those situations. I'm here only as a father of a young woman with a disability. My daughter is a student at UNCW, and she relies on Wave Transit's DART system to travel to and from work every day. We have had some significant frustrations with the system, primarily with the scheduling and consistency of the program. To illustrate these issues, as a research scientist, I decided to start collecting some data to present to you today. I would like to share those data with you. As you know, DART is an ADA accessible van service for people with disabilities who cannot travel by fixed route bus. It costs $4 a ride and is scheduled via an email or a phone call to a reservation system. Wave's website says DART is a next day service, but they encourage scheduling in advance. My daughter schedules her rides between 4 and 7 days in advance each week. If she waits until 4 days prior, there's about a 75% chance she'll be told there are no rides available. If she waits after 4 days, there is almost a 0% chance that she'll be able to get a ride. So it's certainly, as you can imagine, not a next day service. So in the past 2 months, we decided to start collecting data specifically for her rides. She scheduled DARTs 40 times in the last 2 months. The following are the data corresponding to those 40 reservations. 21 out of the 40 times, 52% of the time, the driver arrived in the Wave-described, quote, on-time window of plus or minus 15 minutes. The other arrival times range from 25 minutes past the window, which is 40 minutes after her scheduled time, to inexplicably 90 minutes early, which happened 3 times. And 3 times there was no shows at all. The route from home to school is about 2 miles, and that route can take anywhere from 20 minutes to over an hour from pickup to drop off, making her scheduling timing very, very difficult. If at some point after the week of making her schedules, she finds out that she might be able to get a ride home from school or a ride home from work from her mother or I or a coworker, she dare not call to cancel the ride home because the DART system will cancel both of her rides for that day. Very frustrating situation. you know, in my capacity as the WMPO Advisory Committee Chair, I get the opportunity to get updates from Wave Transit about their operations. A couple of months ago, we got a report on their new scheduling system, the apps, the new fixed routes that they've implemented. And I inquired about the DART system. What have you done about DART? And the answer I was given, we haven't touched DART. It's a well-oiled machine. Well, with our user experience for the several years that we've been using it, I submit to you, it's time to change the oil. Thank you.
Sir, excuse me, we have a, Ms. Andrews?
Yes, sir. I sit on the Wave Transit Board, as do several of our staff members, and we're having a meeting on Thursday at 12:30 p.m. at the Forden Station. If you would like to present there, I would love to have you present to the Wave Transit Board. If not, if you would just like to send me your comments, I will read them into the record for the Wave Transit Board, because this is something that we need to hear.
Okay, thank you.
if
That's
you could
exactly why I'm here today.
please-
I can do that.
Please send them to select.andrews@wilmingtonnc.gov, and I will ensure that they get
Thank you.
the attention they need. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir. Next speaker is Mr. Ty Green at 715 North 4th Street, who will be speaking to us about North 4th Street residential value retention.
Mayor Sappho, good to see you again.
Good to see you, sir.
I'm just here to keep the ball rolling on the parking situation on North 4th Street. I understood through a couple of the social districting meetings that there might be the intent to meter North 4th Street beginning of the year. And if they do that, that will impact east and west of North 4th Street fairly significantly as far as the impacts on the parking. And Councilman Waddell, I think you're familiar with the neighborhood. You realize we have about 110 residents between Bladen Street and NCDOT. And of that 110, I'd say maybe 15 are row houses or something like that. But the other 95 or 90 are condominiums. And we rely solely on curb parking for our value. And if you take 4th Street away, you also have the impacts of the 123 people from the city block apartments that also use 4th Street to park, because they don't want to pay that apartment fee to park in that deck. So I'm just saying it's going to be a serious impact to our values. And I think we have about 40 million just between NCDOT and Bladen Street and residential value there. So I've been in touch with Chance and talked to him about some alternative ideas that I picked up on living in New Orleans for 9 years. But as I've told you before, Mayor Sappho, the only thing we compete with residentially in that area is parking. You provide us parking, and that area will explode on North 4th Street, because we like living there. It's close to being downtown, close to all the attractions down at the wharf, and it has some nice restaurants and whatnot where we live. But the beauty of it is being close without the encumbrances of living downtown. So thank you for your consideration, and to the rest of you all, I really appreciate what you've done. Wilmington's a wonderful place to live. I've lived in about 15 other places in my life, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker is Ms. Bridget Tarrant, status of the implementation of the strategy to address the unsheltered homeless.
Hello, good evening. I'm here tonight just to request an update from the City Council on your progress with the strategy to address the unhoused homeless. At the August 5th meeting, which was over 3 months ago, several council members supported continuing the work that was outlined in that plan. And it was my understanding that, I believe it was the Cape Fear Homeless Continuum of Care was going to determine the financial requirements for this plan. And I'm just wondering if City Council has received those figures yet, so we can kind of move forward with the plan. The other thing that Mayor Sappho, you mentioned at that meeting was that the strategy would require some state level funding. So I'm just wondering if the city has reached out to identify what state resources may be available and then how to access them. Moving forward to the September 9th meeting, I know the city manager was asked by Mayor Saffo to evaluate city-owned properties to determine what could be offered to a nonprofit to provide low-barrier shelters or related services. So I'm not sure if any properties have been identified yet, but that'd be nice to know. And then also you had said, Mayor Saffo, that you were going to write a letter to the county to see if they would re-engage with the city in talking about this issue. I'm just wondering if the county has ever responded.
County has responded.
Good. So I'm not sure where to find that information, if that's public somewhere.
That's a personal conversation I've had with several
okay.
members there, but they are willing to engage, yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, another issue I'd like to address is the recent arrival of Customs and Border Protection officers in Charlotte and then today in Raleigh. Their presence has created significant fear and disruption, especially among the brown-skinned residents, with over 130 people being detained in Charlotte. The agents have been reported at construction sites, Home Depot, and grocery stores. Thousands of Charlotte residents are now living in fear of being detained simply for going to work, church, or to the store. In response, the Charlotte City Council has directed its city attorney to develop an educational campaign to inform residents of their rights and available resources. So I'm wondering if our council will make a public statement clarifying your positions and intentions so that people know that our leaders are preparing for the possibility of similar action here. This situation also raises an important question for Wilmington. If federal immigration enforcement actions occur here, will our police department assist ICE or Border Patrol in any law enforcement operations? The citizens of Wilmington, especially our unhoused and vulnerable neighbors, deserve clear communication and timely updates on these issues. I thank you for all your time and your work on these important issues.
Thank you. Okay. Next item of business is our public hearings. Item PH1 is an ordinance amending the Land Development Code, Chapter 18, to modify use and dimensional standards within the R3 medium-high density mixed residential zoning district. At this time, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Hawk. Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. This item will be presented by Planning Director Linda Painter, and this will be a withdrawal, and she will go over those details. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. I'll be brief. This is an application where staff has been working with the applicant, and we have decided we're going to make some adjustments to what was originally proposed and bring this back as a staff-initiated application. So the applicant has withdrawn their proposal. We will be bringing a revised proposal forward to the Planning Commission and the council in the coming weeks.
Okay. So no action is necessary? Is this to be continued, or it's supposed to be just withdrawn? Withdrawn?
It's just being withdrawn.
Okay.
No actions required.
Very good. No action is required on this particular item. We'll move on to item PHT, which is an ordinance amending the Land Development Code, Chapter 18, to establish food bank as a new use. This time, I'd like to recognize the city manager, Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by Assistant Planning Director Brian Chambers, and Zoning Administrator Catherine Thurston will also be assisting.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. The proposed amendment will establish a new land use for food banks, separate from their current classification as warehousing and distribution centers. Food banks are organizations that receive, store, and distribute food and related products to partner agencies and directly to individuals and families in need. As part of the 2021 comprehensive update to the LDC, the Land Development Code, the previous social services use category was eliminated in an effort to streamline the code and to reduce the number of individual uses with similar impacts. Most previous uses classified under social services were office-based and were therefore consolidated into the broader office category to better reflect their function and their intensity. In the years since the new code was adopted, staff has identified the need to address one specific former social service use, food banks. While these facilities serve a public or charitable mission similar to other human service uses, their physical characteristics and operations more closely resemble warehousing and distribution uses, given the need for food storage, packaging, and occasional delivery services. Current code only allows food banks in the CS, the commercial services, light industrial, and industrial districts by right and by condition in the urban mixed-use district, which, as you can see on this map, leaves a lot of residential areas isolated for opportunities for such uses. The proposed amendment would expand allowable uses to the regional business and the central business district by right, and allow food banks in the urban mixed-use, community business, and office and institutional districts by prescribed conditions. So this is a map that shows the changes. The staff has also proposed a definition for food banks, and I won't read this to you, but I will show you the updated use table for the amendment. We're classifying food banks under civic and institutional. In the districts that allow food banks by conditions, these would be the applicable conditions. They're designed to ensure compatibility in our lower intensity areas, and they're similar to the warehousing and distribution uses that are currently in our code. Planning Commission held a public hearing on this item and recommended approval 6-0. And staff also recommends approval of the proposed amendment as it is consistent with the City of Wilmington's adopted plans. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have of staff.
I think it's a good job. Thank you for looking at this and expanding it. It's the right thing to do. Appreciate it. Since we are the applicant, we're just going to go ahead. Is there any other questions, comments? I think we have to go through a process here, but I see that we're already ready to adopt. But we're going to have to go through a process. Is there any other questions for Ms. Thurston? Okay, thank you, Ms. Thurston. I'm going to open up the public hearing, ask if anyone in the public wishes to speak on this particular item. Anybody, any further comments, Madam Clerk?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council. We have a motion to adopt by Councilmember Spears, second by Councilmember Joyner. Councilmember Spears, will you read a consistency statement for the record, please, sir?
I move to approve the proposed amendment to the Land Development Code and find it to be consistent with the relevant policies in the comprehensive plan based on application materials and the information provided at the public hearing and in the staff report, and to find approval of the request is reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The proposed amendment will allow food banks in commercial and mixed-use areas, ensuring these essential services are accessible to the communities they serve.
Okay, all ready to vote? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Waddell. Second. Second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. Brings us to our next item of business, which is item PH3, which is an ordinance designating the Wilmington Iron Works building at 201 South Water Street as a local historic landmark. And at this time, I'd like to recognize our city manager again, Ms. Aug. Ms. Aug.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by Assistant Director Brian Chambers as well as our Historic Preservation Planning Manager, Ben Riggle.
Good evening, Mayor. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Public hearing 3 is for an application to designate the Wilmington Iron Works Machine Shop building located at 201 South Water Street as a local landmark. As adapted from the Wilmington Historic District Boundary Expansion Report, the Wilmington Iron Works Machine Shop building at the southeast corner of the intersection of South Water Street and Orange Street has a front gable configuration with a segmental arch window heads and brick pilaster dividing bays on the long side. A large metal sliding door is located on the southwest corner of the west elevation. Large wood beams support the low-pitched gable roof with portions of the former Iron Works machinery retained among the beams. The building is a contributing resource to the Wilmington Historic District and to the Central Business District Historic District overlay. Although the building lacks a high architectural style, the history of the building, as noted by the applicant, quote, tells an important story of the city's economic history, end quote. The property began its known economic usage as a repository for naval stores, an important industry for the Wilmington during the mid-19th century. On July 25, 1831, the property transferred to Peter B. Ruffin, a merchant and financier from Hillsborough, North Carolina, and son of North Carolina Supreme Court Justice Thomas Ruffin. A newspaper advertisement from August 24, 1864 references a large shed for rent at the subject building's location, with another similar advertisement occurring in 1879. In 1887, D.L. Gore, a Civil War veteran and prominent Wilmington businessman, purchased the property. Since at least 1884, per the Sanborn map, and as seen in the 1889 Sanborn map on the left, the frame warehouse is labeled a tar, turpentine, and naval stores associated with the Robinson and King Industrial Complex. In 1908, Gore signed a lease agreement with the Wilmington Iron Works, and by 1915, the frame building had become a machine shop associated with the Wilmington Iron Works, as seen on the Sanborn map on the right. The former Wilmington Iron Works machine shop building was likely initially constructed in circa 1869 as a frame structure, but was reconstructed of brick in circa 1925. The Sanborn map showed that sometime between 1915 and 1951, the frame warehouse building was replaced by a brick warehouse building on the same footprint as seen on the Sanborn on the left. The Wilmington Iron Works utilized the building until the company went out of business in 2000. During its time operating, Wilmington Iron Works helped produce numerous metal resources, including doors, fences, gears, engines, boilers, saws, and parts for large locomotives and steamboats. The company participated in manufacturing efforts for both World War I and World War II. As the railroad industry grew in Wilmington, it became a major consumer of Wilmington Iron Works products until its decline in the late 20th century. An undated photograph, likely from the mid-20th century and one from circa 1970, shows that the existing building retains a good level of integrity from the early to mid-20th century, when the Wilmington Iron Works building was being used as a machine shop. After the bankruptcy of the Wilmington Iron Works, the property was sold, and by 2017, the building had been adaptively reused as a museum of the bazaar to cater to the curious members of the community and tourists alike. The building's facade incorporates the slope of the terrain on Orange Street as it rises towards Front Street, as can be seen in these photos. The west elevation features a sliding corrugated metal door from the Wilmington Iron Works history, while the south elevation is used for employees only. The north elevation features a modern entry for the Museum of the Bazaar, but it also retains an excellent industrial steel door stenciled, quote, Wilmington Iron Works Machine Shop, end quote. Because of the sloping nature of the facade, the windows on the western portion of the building are arched, while the windows on the eastern portion are rectangular, as seen in these photos. The corrugated metal door on the west elevation remains, although it does not appear to be in use. Although the warehouse building was likely reconstructed in the early 20th century, based on the heavy timber framing still visible in the building today, there is a strong probability that a lot of the framing structure from the original warehouse building was salvaged and reused in the construction of the current brick warehouse and former machine shop. In addition to the heavy timber framing throughout the building, iron support columns with branching angled supports highlighting the interior were likely manufactured by the Wilmington Iron Works specifically for this building. Although not the most glamorous building, the utilitarian nature of the former Wilmington Iron Works machine shop building does not diminish its historical importance to the city because of its industrial and commercial uses. Started as a facility for naval stores, one of the most important early industries in Wilmington, before being adaptively reused for manufacturing as the city shifted to a more production-centered economy in the 20th century, before once again being adapted for use by the tourist industry to cater to Wilmington's development during the early 20th century as a premier tourist destination. Staff notes in a letter dated October 22nd, 2025, the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, the State Historic Preservation Office, provided some revision recommendations and a request to notify their office regarding the final decision of the City Council. Local landmark designation makes the property owner eligible for 50% deferral to the city And if approved for designation as a local historic landmark, any exterior design changes or substantial interior changes proposed for the Wilmington Iron Works would be subject to review by the Wilmington Historic Preservation Commission. Staff would like to enter the presentation and report in the record of tonight's proceedings. Are there any questions?
We are the applicant, or who is the applicant here?
The applicant is here.
Okay, very good. Okay, any questions? Okay, David?
Since we're talking about eligibility for a 50% tax deferral, what was the valuation on this property?
I don't recall off that we looked into it.
Can we get that data point before we vote, since we're going to be taking action that affects city revenue? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. This time, I'd like to recognize the applicant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. My name is Clayton Humersky. I'm the applicant. I've applied on behalf of the property owner, Justin Lanassa, for the property. And as Ben mentioned, I think that this is a really interesting property, sort of a microcosm of Wilmington's commercial history, starting with naval stores, moving it to manufacturing in the 20th century before finally becoming part of the tourism industry downtown. So, yeah, any questions?
Any questions
that I could answer for you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Clayton. I guess my question is, how much of the building is quote unquote original?
Thank you very much. And that may be a better question directed at Ben. My understanding is quite a bit of it. The exterior seems to be many of the framing members, and the interior of the building are historic. As to the total originality of the thing, we assume it was originally, would you say, yeah?
It depends on your definition of original. From the circa 1869 version of the timber framing, I would guess just the interior heavy timber frames remains. From the circa 1925 construction date, it would be the brick and the windows. The roof is new, but it is a replacement in kind. It was a metal roof, and it's a metal roof still. And the windows are the metal frame industrial type windows, and they remain as well.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Clayton? Okay. Thank you, Clayton. This time, I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on item PH3. Madam Clerk, have you received any comments on item PH3?
No, sir, I have none.
Any further questions from council?
He was going to answer that question.
I believe that our staff is about to answer it right now.
Yes, Councilman Joyner, the 50% tax value or reduction would be about $1,600 annual.
Okay, very good. All right, anybody else? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council in respect to the item. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Rivenbark, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilman Rivenbark, second by Councilman Waddell. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which is item PH4, which is an ordinance directing the housing inspector to vacate, close, and repair or demolish a dwelling at 1964 Carolina Beach Road as unfit for human habitation pursuant to Article 5, Chapter 16 of the City Code, and directing that a notice be placed thereon prohibiting its use or occupancy. Again, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Hawk. Ms. Hawk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by our Chief Code Enforcement Officer, Brian Renner.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. We're going to talk about 1964 Carolina Beach Road. You might recognize this house when you see a photo of it. It's about a 23 100 square foot single-family house. It was built in around 1921. The property is zoned CB. The property is currently vacant, and the owner is Ms. Charlotte Buckley, who's here with us this evening. You can see here located on Carolina Beach Road in Alabama. So this is the view from Carolina Beach Road of this house. This case that we're discussing tonight began back in March of 2024. It was an officer-initiated case. Property was vacant at the time. We've been in conversations with the property owner since 2020 at least about the house. The house has a lot of historic character to it. It is not listed as a historic landmark, but it was identified in an NCDOT study as having potential historic value back when they were looking at Carolina Beach Road. So we have been speaking with the owner for some time. We did take this to Administrative Housing Code hearing back in July of 2024. The property owner attended that hearing. She had brought her contractor as well. At that hearing, she stated her plan to sell the property and allow a new owner to make repairs and do something with it. That findings of fact was issued, determined it was unfit for human habitation and dilapidated. In August, that order expired in February of 2025. We issued a citation in April of 2025, and we're here at the public hearing tonight. So that findings of fact and order, as I said, it identified the dwelling as dilapidated through our enforcement process and deemed it unfit for human habitation, dilapidated being over 50% of the estimated value, of the estimated cost of repair to the building value. 2024 building value was $51,400. Estimated cost of repair was $88,504, which is 173%. So sections of the minimum housing code, if you look at the attachments, there's a findings of fact that was issued. These are the sections of the housing code, and these are just some highlights about the house. We have, as you'll see in some photos, we have some collapsed floors, a lot of rotted floors and joists, roof leaks. Then we have some issues with, but I think the biggest issue is the rotten framing that we'll see. So here is the some views of the outside. We have a lot of cracked stucco on the outside and sections that are loose. Here's a section that's really adjacent to the sidewalk, and you can actually see that portion of the roof on that porch is rotted. This is a side porch that was hit by a car. I think it was hit by a car maybe in around 2022, but I could be wrong. That did damage that, and you can see how that support post is holding up that weight of that overhang. We do have several broken windows and rotten window framing. This is the back side of the house. A lot of the stucco behind the electrical meter is falling apart. I believe that the house does still have an electrical meter on it. And this is up on the front porch where you can see that framing is rotted all the way through. So there is a basement in this house. The basement's under about, I'd guess about 6 inches of water. In this photo you can see on the left, you see this is a photo from July of 2024, and then October 24th of 2025. You can see that floor system is completely rotted through and failed. And that's on the first floor. And this corner of the house, it kind of carries through from the second floor to the first floor all the way to the bottom. This is another comparative photo between just a little over a year difference. So this is inside the house. You can see here we have a lot of water coming down through the roof, through the second floor, and into the first floor. You can see that rotten and hole in the ceiling there, which has the containers of water below it. This is another hole in that ceiling. This is the bathroom on the first floor. You can see where that floor is, or that ceiling is completely rotted through, which would be the floor of the second floor, and a lot of containers, again, holding water from the roof leaking. This is a back corner. This is directly above that photo that you saw in the basement. So you can see here July, the floor is beginning to collapse, and here in October 2025, the floor is completely collapsed into the basement. And this is the ceiling above that. You can see here a good comparative photo, July to October again. That October 25, you can start to see where that second floor is rotting through. And when we go up to the second floor, you'll see that carrying down as well. This is right at the base of the stairs in the middle of the house. We do have, again, more water damage and rot, more containers holding water, and the floor underneath those containers also rotting. This is up on the second floor in the corner over by the electrical meter. You can see here more rot on the roof carrying down through the wood framing, and also with the containers holding that water. This is in one of the bedrooms, more water intrusion issues. Another bedroom, more water intrusion issues. This is that back corner that is directly above that collapse that we saw. So you can see here that this whole corner of the house is rotting pretty much through. This floor is starting to fail in this room as well, as are those exterior walls. And this is more water damage on the ceiling in that room. This is the exterior of that portion where you saw that rot that kind of came through from the second floor to the first floor to the basement. This is that corner. You can start to see some cracking happening on that stucco. That wall actually appears to be bowing. I'm under the impression that that wall, those exterior walls are starting to fail because of the rotten framing that's carrying through on that side of the house.
Excuse me. Brian, that picture that's up right now on the left, is that something that's been done of a more recent time?
Yes, these photos were taken October of 2025.
Okay, so is this woodworking that I'm seeing on the left, is it taking the place of some of the photos you've already shown us? Or is this something totally different?
This is so if you look at this photo, this is on the photo on the right, this is the left side of that room.
Okay.
So it is just showing more of that damage to the roof that's carrying down into the house.
Thank you.
So that being said, the estimated cost of repair on this and the findings of fact, this is dilapidated by the city's minimum housing code. It is unfit for human habitation. Our recommendation is approval of this ordinance, which is a 90-day for the owner to repair or demolish. The owner is here. I will note that by our calculation, there's just under $17,000 owed in taxes from 2016 to 2020 and then 2022 to 2025. We have issued a $5,500 citation on this property. But our recommendation would be 90 days in the approval of this ordinance. But the owner's here, and I'll let you speak with her about anything else.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Waddell.
Yep. Mr. Renner, could you go back to the one of the first slides, your request for requested action, and kind of where you talk about the valuation?
Yep.
And this is just something that I've noticed kind of over the last couple. I realize we have a way of doing things, but I do, while I still have this pulpit, intend to use it. And so we have the 2024 tax value for the building, and then the estimated cost of repair, and then we show this 173% number, when in reality, we went through a pretty sizable marking to market evaluation in 2025 that resulted in ultimately a tax burden increase into basically every member of this community that owns property. And so when we're looking at this and we see a 173% number, in reality, 2025 valuation is $301,000 land and building, whereas the 2024 valuation was $144,300 for land and building. And I believe the building value has jumped from what you showed there of $51,400 to $86,900, which takes that 173% number to just maybe over 100%, which is still above our policy, and understand that. But I think it's fair to the people who are coming in here to basically defend their property, and it's also fair to the decision makers that we have accurate information to go off of. So I would just ask that moving forward, we reflect the 2025 number valuation more clearly in your presentation.
Well, I appreciate that, and I do include it in the summary, and I will make sure
I
it's
see it in the summary.
Yes.
I get it, and I can dig for the information, but I think it's fair to everybody to have it actually input, maybe even just below your 2024, because I know that goes into this process takes longer than a year. And so to be fair to you, I'm not saying you're being misleading whatsoever. I just think it's fair to everybody involved that we see kind of a true market value.
Understood.
Councilmember Waddell, I'm happy to just jump in here, just to let you know that this was a conversation that I had with Rachel Schuler about some adjustments to make to this presentation. And I do just want to clarify that the reason why we went with this information was that the finding of fact and order determination happened based on the 2024 tax value assessment. So what you see on the screen was what the determination was based on when it occurred. To your point, though, there have been changes made, and so this is kind of our first foray into making some adjustments to the presentation. And we did have a lot of conversation about how much to put into the presentation versus what to leave out to keep it understandable. But I do agree that is a great suggestion to add if there has been an update to include the 2025, and we're happy to do that from here forward. But I do just want to clarify why we landed on the 2024 was because that is what the actual finding of fact and order determination was based on. So that's what we're trying to display here. But happy to make that adjustment.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Hawk. I certainly understand and agree that you're doing this and it takes some time, and the finding of fact was probably before the valuation even was submitted. So I just think additional consideration is warranted to the public who's kind of being under scrutinized here, and then also the decision makers who are ultimately making the decision. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize the homeowner.
Aztec never behaves. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got all fancy on it. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Charlotte Buckley. I've been a resident of Wilmington for 43 years. I have been previously a code enforcement officer for the city of Wilmington, and I'm very proud of our area, and I would not have stayed 43 years. I am now 72, and I had I'll tell you where I live now. I live at 121 Chestnut Street in an apartment, and I have lived there over a year. And I had an unforeseen accident, and I broke my leg, and it was a long healing process. Never thought I'd grow old. So it was a long healing process, and now I feel I have fully recovered as far as I can go. And I feel like I can bring my attention to this property that I own. And I really believe that to bring this into compliance for minimum housing standards is impossible for me to do. So I have to go the alternative, which is look at demolishing the house and leaving it as vacant land, which I will keep up and mow like I have been. And so I really feel I can draw my attention to this now. And I will make it safe and board up the broken windows. I have removed debris out of the house that got wet, and I will continue to do that. And I have the support of friends and other residents of Wilmington. And also, I've been working very hard in the last 3 weeks, making it more presentable to the public. I had some shower curtains on the windows because people were looking in at me. So I put them up a long time ago. I have since taken them down, and I took new photos today, and it looks so much better. And, you know, the one thing I did before I broke my leg, I hired a pressure washer, and I pressure washed the whole house. And it made such a remarkable difference. And that's where I spent my money, to pressure wash it so it was more presentable and was not a bad appearance. So, but I just want to show you, this is what I suffered by stepping off a curb in downtown Wilmington, a path that I've walked many, many times. So this, I never expected at my age. So I just want you to know that I am a very proud resident of Wilmington, and I will show you. This was what the house looked like when I bought it. And, you know, I know that it's not up to code, but the facade I have kept up. And I'm asking for this ordinance not to move forward, to give me time longer. It might happen within 60 days, but I'd like a little bit more time, and I will gladly have code enforcement follow me. I will report to them, and I really think that I have 2 bids for demolishing the property, and I can do it now. And I need to do my part, and I'm willing to do that now. And I appreciate your support tonight, and I appreciate all you members of our city, and I'm proud to call this home.
Ms. Buckley, we have a couple of questions here. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Spears?
Pretty much answered some of the questions that I was going to ask. If you have the resources to demolish this property, and you said you do.
I am in the process of trying to attain the money to do that. I got laid off from my job after the coronavirus, and all of a sudden I was older, and I was applying for jobs and never received one. So I have been living on Social Security.
I understand. And you asked for more time. I think the recommendation is 90 days. How much time do you think you need?
I will leave that up to your discretion. I will work within the perimeters of what you tell me.
I'm asking you to help me to help you. I do
Yes,
this
sir.
quite often, so if you give me a number, I'm gonna go to bat for the number that you give us. I mean, the house is in a pretty bad shape.
It is.
And like you said, you're recovering from an injury. You're elderly. You're on I guess a fixed income. So I would I want to be as helpful as I can.
Well, code enforcement has said 90 days, and that would bring me into the first of the year. And I would like maybe 2 months beyond that. But my goal is to attain the money so I can demolish it, so that I can have some value left, that I can live the rest of my life comfortably, because where I'm living at now is not safe for me.
Oh, understood. So 90 days. Go ahead, Luke.
Mr. Waddell?
Thank you, Ms. Buckley, for being so frank with us on the time and really generous with saying, you know, we did 90, but maybe you need a couple more months. I'm looking at it and I see the holidays coming up. It's a very busy time getting contractors to come out. I think personally, and I am somewhat in the business, that you probably would be better off at like a 365-day window. Would that be okay with you if I was to make that motion?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I intend to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Rivenbark.
Charlotte, you said that you had come here tonight with the idea that it needed to be demolished. Are you needing the time to put the money together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's another option.
Yes, sir.
The city can take it down and place a lien against the property, and they would not do it for any more than you would be able to hire a contractor to do. That way you wouldn't have to, and I know it's a weight on your shoulder worrying about this, but the house is beyond repair. I'm glad that you understand that. So you do have two options. You can get the time and go out and try to, come up with the resources to do it, or I don't want to be speaking over my pay grade for the city, but Brian, is that not an option?
That is an option, yes.
Okay. And the city would not go out and find the highest bidder. They'd find the lowest bidder, and it may even be lower than what you could do the demolishment for. So that is another option for you to think about.
Thank you for bringing that up. I did get 2 bids on demolishing the house. One was $30,000 and one was $35,000.
Okay. Brian, does that sound ballpark?
I'm surprised at how low those numbers are, especially without doing asbestos testing, because I'm not sure. Realistically, it could be done for that amount, but with us doing asbestos testing and potential abatement, it could be more.
And the other thing, I'm glad he brought that up, because it's one thing to stand there and say, yeah, we can take that down, but with asbestos and maybe some other contamination or whatever, that would add to it. But you will have an asset with a cleared lot on the street frontage of Carolina Beach Road.
Zone CB, so.
Zone CB, yes, ma'am. So that's the light at the end of that tunnel.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
That was a very good advice.
Okay. Thank you, Charlotte.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
It doesn't pay attention to me.
Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing and ask if anyone who wants to speak on behalf of item PH4. Madam Clerk, have you received any additional commentary?
Sorry. Yes, sir, I have received a written comment from Shannon Zucker, 421 Northern Boulevard. Charlotte, the homeowner, is my neighbor. While the home is currently unoccupied, Charlotte regularly visits to maintain the property by keeping the yard mowed, planting flowers, and installing solar lights. It feels like Charlotte is being unfairly targeted by the city, especially given that she's an elderly retired woman managing this on her own. I'm not seeing this same level of pressure or enforcement applied to other vacant or neglected properties nearby. In fact, the city has done little to support her in addressing its recent demands, nor have they taken action to the property from a historical perspective. Though the city is coming after Charlotte, it's been allowing development to continue along Carolina Beach Road with the little regard for infrastructure or preservation. If the city expects something to be done with Charlotte's home, then some support or guidance should be provided. It would appear instead that all the city is doing is penalizing Charlotte for her unoccupied property. As her next door neighbor, I can say this property is not having a negative impact on those who live around it. I respectfully ask the City Council to consider offering assistance rather than pressure and to truly put yourself in Charlotte's shoes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Waddell, you have a question, comment?
Yeah. I guess before you close the public hearing, if there is, I intend to make a motion at 365 days rather than 90 days. What does that need to look like? Is it just, Madam Attorney?
You just move to modify the ordinance to reflect 365 days instead of 90 days.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the wishes of council in respect to the item PH4.
Mr. Mayor, I move to modify the ordinance to reflect 365 days rather than 90 days.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion to extend the time limit for 365 days from today's date. Is that correct? By Councilmember Waddell, second by Councilmember Rivenbark. Any further discussion? Okay, ready to vote? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Waddell. Second by Councilmember Rivenbark. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our ordinances. Item 01 is an ordinance making supplemental appropriation in the amount of $98,000 from committed revenue funds for the Live Oak Bank Pavilion and Riverfront Park. At this time, I'd like to recognize the city manager, Ms. Becky Hawk. Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by our Parks and Recreation Director, Amy Beatty.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, that's a first, I'm pretty short. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members, Riverfront Park has a program wherein a 50-cent surcharge is collected from nonprofit agencies and a $2 surcharge is collected from for-profit agencies per attendee for events that are held at the park. These funds are reinvested into Riverfront Park to help ensure its longevity and quality and lessen the reliance on that from the city's general fund. Each year around this time, staff comes to council to request an appropriation of some of these funds. This evening, we are requesting a $98,000 appropriation from a balance of around $294,000 so that we can expend funds on lawn care maintenance, lawn care equipment, remulching, resodding, some hardscape replacements, repairs, preventive work on the water feature, as well as replacement of some playground elements that had been taken out and needed to be decommissioned because of disrepair. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions for staff? Okay. Seeing none, what are the wishes of council in respect to the ordinance? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Spears, second by Councilmember Joyner. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. That brings us to our next item of business, which is item 02A, which is an ordinance making appropriations of $66,603 to the Public Facilities Capital Projects Fund for the RiverLights Fire Station project. And then we have accompanying resolution of item 02B, which is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a change order to Samet Corporation for the RiverLights Fire Station in the amount of $250,677. At this time, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Becky Hawk. Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by project engineer Mike Niklicki.
Then Nick.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. A couple weeks ago, as you know, on November 1st, the Wilmington Fire Department gracefully hosted the grand opening of Fire Station number 6 in the RiverLights development across from the Marina Village. It was extremely well attended, which showed the support of the local community. They were able to tour the 12,700 square foot, 3-bay, state-of-the-art public safety facility. The exterior architecture was designed to complement and blend with the local neighborhood character. It was a successful collaboration between the RiverLights developer, who dedicated the 3-acre parcel to the city, and the Wilmington City Council, who approved the funds for the approximately $9 million project. During construction, there were various out-of-scope items beyond the contractor control, which created some logistical inefficiencies and slowed progress of the station. It included utility conflicts, extended easement coordination with the local developer, and other contract revisions. Before you tonight is a resolution to authorize a change order in the amount of $250,677, and also a companion ordinance to appropriate $66,603 from interest earnings from within the project to fund this change order. Although the reasonable compensation was not agreed to until late into the project, the contractor, Samet Corporation, never stopped working and was able to successfully deliver this new facility to the Wilmington Fire Department. We support both these items and be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Nulicki? Okay. Fire station looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are the wishes of council in respect to the ordinance? And we'll take 2 votes of the $66,603 to public facilities. We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett, second by Councilmember Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Spears, seconded by Councilmember Waddell. Discussion. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well as second reading. Now let's go to the resolution, which is item O2B, which is authorizing the city manager to execute the change order to Samet Corporation for the RiverLights Fire Station in the amount of $250,677. What are the wishes of council? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Spears, second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our resolutions. We have item R1, which is a resolution opposing the Fuquay-Varina Interbasin transfer request and call for additional public hearing. This time I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rivenbark. Mr. Rivenbark?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, this resolution, I'm going to give you just a little backstory on it. The Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority, who we buy water from time to time at Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, they supply water to Brunswick County, Smithfield Foods, Pender County, and some water to New Hanover, to Cape Fear Public Utility Authority. They have an intake where they take the water in it at Kings Bluff on the Cape Fear River, north of Wilmington. That's as far as you have to go where you're not getting brackish water with salt in it. And they have an intake there, and just below that, the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority has an intake, and that's where this region gets 95% of its water. We do have some groundwater up toward Ogden, but that's to supplement what we get from these 2 intakes. And from time to time, we take water in, and we're number 7 on the list of municipalities and waterworks that take water out of the Cape Fear River. We're at the end of the line. By the time we take water out of the Cape Fear River at Kings Bluff, that water has been taken out of the Cape Fear River by a local waterworks or a local government, used, treated, and put back in the Cape Fear River. So that's 7 people, and 7 different groups are taking water. Fuquay-Varina wants to take water, and we don't mind lending water. We don't have a problem with that, but what this particular resolution is calling for is they want to take over 6 million gallons, upwards of 9, out of the Cape Fear River and use it and not put it back in the Cape Fear River. And it has a kind of a domino effect over a period of time, that during drought times, during dry season, that could, I don't want to use the word severely, but it could impact, according to our engineers, the water levels that we have here. And we do get in that situation from time to time. So they submitted in September, in September of 2020, they submitted I can't, the word just escaped me. It's a draft environmental impact statement, and that was in September of 2020. And we have been opposed to it the entire time, and just recently, they submitted over in the last 60 days, they've submitted a 2,000-page summary for us to digest in 60 to 90 days, and we're asking for an extension. But this resolution is in opposition to the transfer request and calls for additional public hearing. They scheduled 3 public hearings, and the closest one to Wilmington was Fayetteville, 100 miles away. So we're asking for another public hearing to be held here, where people who are directly impacted would have a say. And I can't stress how important this is. We went through this about 5 years ago with the town of Cary, North Carolina. And the state actually supported their request of taking water out and not returning it. But we went to court, and this area went to court and we prevailed. So now we're back at it again. And there's a lot of growth up there, but they have, in my opinion, not planned very well, because there is a way for them to revert that water back to the Cape Fear after it's been duly treated. So I'm going to, it's rather lengthy. You want me to read it? Okay, I'm going to read this. Bear with me a second. Whereas on September 1, 2020, the town of Fuquay-Varina submitted a notice of intent to request an interbasin transfer, it's called an IBT, requesting an average day transfer of approximately 4 million gallons a day and a maximum transfer of 8 million gallons per day from the Cape Fear River back to the Neuse River Basin. Whereas over 5 years after submitting its notice of intent, the town released a draft environmental impact statement identifying a preferred alternative of sourcing water from the Tri-Rivers Water Treatment Plant in the Cape Fear River Basin and seeking approval to transfer 6.17 million gallons per day from the Cape Fear River Basin to the Neuse River Basin. Whereas the town's nearly 2,000-page draft environmental impact statement does not account for any of the 6 million gallons per day to be returned from the benefiting Neuse River Basin to the impacted Cape Fear River Basin, and whereas published documents indicate the town has purchased a total of 6 million gallons of water capacity from the town of Sanford via the Tri-Rivers Water Treatment Plant, while the town receives a total of 4.25 million MGD of potable water from the city of Raleigh, Harnett County, and Johnston County on a contractual basis. Whereas the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, Brunswick County, Pender County, and the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority collectively, it's called the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities, rely upon the Cape Fear River as the source of their raw water to serve their communities. Whereas data reflects that the removal without return to the Cape Fear River Basin may result in the over-allocation of the Cape Fear River at Kings Bluff, leading to substantial adverse environmental and economic effects to the impacted communities, particularly those served by the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities. And whereas the potential impacts to the communities served by the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities include increased risk of water shortages during periods of drought, less potential future economic development opportunities, and reduced water flow or quality for recreational use. I'm almost through. And whereas the town has not provided any measures or alternatives to avoid detrimental impacts upon the currently authorized local water supply plans of the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities, drought conditions throughout the state have affected the flow of the Cape Fear River. The net effect of the interbasin transfer will result in negative water quantity and quality, particularly during periods of drought or low river flow. And although the communities served by the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities will be detrimentally impacted by this IBT certificate request, those communities benefiting from the request will be positioned for growth and increased economic development. And whereas in December 22, a public records request was sent on behalf of the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities to the town of Fuquay-Varina,
seeking documents related to the requested IBT certificate. Nearly 3 years later, the town has yet to fulfill this request. In October of '23, a public records request was submitted on behalf of the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities to the city of Sanford, seeking documents related to Sanford's expansion of its drinking water structure in the Cape Fear River. Over 2 years later, the authority has not received any documents in response to this request. In July 24, the authority submitted a public records request to the Division of Water Quality requesting documents related to the Fuquay-Varina IBT certificate request. On October 23, 25, just 1 month ago, 15 months after the public records request was submitted, DEQ provided thousands of pages of additional documents in response to the authority's public request. And on November the 4th, 2025, a week after the authority received the documents from DEQ, it was announced that the Environmental Management Commission would allow public comment to the town's DEIS for its IBT certificate with a public comment deadline of February 1, 2026. And although the town required 5 years to develop its DEIS, and DEQ required 15 months to fulfill the public records request, the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities will have only 3 months within which to review thousands of pages of engineering and environmental records and conduct its own independent analysis. A November 24 announcement stated that EMC would hold a series of public hearings regarding the town's DEIS to be held December 4, 25 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, December 9 in Raleigh, and December 11 in Pittsburgh. And whereas the substantial impact of the town's DEIS and IBT certificate requests to the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities, the closest hearing is nearly 100 miles away. Due process requires that those impacted be offered both notice and an opportunity to be heard. The location of the hearings are centrally located to the beneficiaries of the town's IBT certificate requests, but do not provide the same access and opportunity to be heard by the impacted communities. That the Wilmington City Council formally opposes the Fuquay-Varina IBT request and the draft environmental impact statement as submitted and amended. Council opposes any IBT certificate affecting the Cape Fear River Basin that does not account for the return of the water so removed. That Council requests North Carolina EMC to allow the Cape Fear Basin Water Utilities additional time to respond and submit comments to the DEIS and requested certificate. Council further requests that any extensions of time be commensurate with the delay when information was requested by the basin utilities. That Council requests that the Environmental Management Commission to hold an additional 4th public hearing on the draft environmental impact statement in New Hanover County during the month of December 25 or January 26 to allow the public to attend and provide relevant comments on the DEIS and requested IBC certificate. I know that sounds clear as mud to you, but it's very important, and I move the resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very good. We have a motion made by Councilmember Rivenbark, second by Mayor Pro Tem Barnett. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. This concludes the regular agenda. Are there any items to be brought forward by our city attorney,
No, sir.
our city manager?
Just want to provide a quick update to one of the public commenters earlier in the meeting and to council related to available city properties. Just want to go over some of the lenses that staff has been looking at ownership of city properties. It includes whether or not there's clear deed restriction, whether or not there's clear ownership, location in a floodplain, sufficient size, proximity to schools, transit access, as well as potential future use of the property, and then where the point in time counts that have been completed previously indicate that some of the populations are located to make sure that any property is centrally located or readily accessible to the populations that might need it. So that work is extensive, and we expect, given Council's plan for limited business in December, that this would be an item undertaken by the new council in January.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, anything?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Spears?
Yes, sir. I want to thank members of the community who have donated turkeys to a turkey drive that fell into my lap not so long ago. I had no intentions of doing it. I've done it a couple years ago, and feels pretty good being back in the saddle, being able to provide help to the community and to have so many members all over this community to participate. And so I would welcome families to come out to Creekwood on Saturday the 22nd at 2 p.m., one turkey per family. And then on Thanksgiving morning, some friends of mine and myself will be cooking meals and delivering meals and feeding people on Thanksgiving morning up until that afternoon. So please feel free to come by the Sportsman Club at 1111 Castle Street to receive a free meal, or if you know of some sick and shut-in individuals within the community, please feel free to reach out and provide their information so that they can get a very good meal on Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to just mention that the Wave Transit Authority has reconstituted the Making Waves Foundation, whose purpose is to raise and distribute funds to help organizations who help people who need access to transit. And we are looking for 4 additional board members for the foundation. And we're especially interested in board members who have a background in fundraising, in grant writing, and in grant making. So if you have any interest in that, again, you can contact me, Celeste.Andrews at wilmingtonnc.gov, and I will get you an application.
Okay. In the spirit of the last 3 members, I'm going to go to David next. Mr. Joyner.
I just wanted to remind folks that we've been doing some community meetings around town for traffic calming. I think that both of the in-person meetings, there were 2 in-person meetings. I see staff nodding. Those have both occurred in the past week. So I just want to say thank you to Linda Painter and her team who organized those. I thought they were very informative, well-run, good opportunities for people to give feedback. There will be a virtual meeting if somebody over there wants to turn on their microphone and remind folks of when that will be, because I don't have it handy. And then there's also an opportunity to give feedback on speed humps and also maybe more broadly on Vision Zero, which we've heard about for traffic calming and traffic safety. And I just wanted to have staff remind us real quick when people can participate in that virtual meeting if they have things to share about either speed humps or general traffic safety in their neighborhood.
Thank you, Councilman Joyner. That meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 8th at 1 p.m., and the link will be on the website. It's wilmingtonnc.gov/traffic calming.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Waddell?
I assume in the December 2nd meeting, we'll have an opportunity for if everyone, have any prepared remarks. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I just want to say that Marshawn Nealon, a 24-year-old football player for Dallas, he scored a touchdown on national television, and then a few days later he committed suicide. And I oftentimes say at my last comments is that it's really important that we be kind to each other. If you ever hear me say anything else, speak to people, take your earphones off, and acknowledge the human beings that God allows to cross your path, okay? Because you never know what people are going through, even though it looks like they may be on top of the world. And then the last thing I'll remind us is to make sure that you check in with your strongest friend, okay? Because they may be struggling. And really, when you ask them, how are you, stop long enough to really find out how they really are, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rivenbark.
This is my last business meeting. We'll have a chance to thank some folks in a couple of weeks, but it's a far cry from 1993. I know that sounds like I've been here 40 years, but it's only 24. But it's been a high honor to do this, and I wouldn't trade it for all the whiskey in Ireland. It's just been a treat, and it's going to be in good hands. And got the mayor to continue to lead the way, and it's I wish you all Godspeed and the best of luck possible. because you're going to need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and be safe, and we'll see you in 2 more weeks. So with that, we stand adjourned.
Good job.